Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 8 of What If Naruto Learned the Clone Secret in the Beginning. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also stay in tune for What If Naruto got his memory sealed away, and enjoy that guys. And also later on I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Was the Otsutsuki King over on Anime King. So go ahead and check out that. And I'm also going to be posting What If Naruto Was Given a Second Chance. So stay tuned for that as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you're hearing my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Naruto was facing off against Haku on the bridge, as Sasuke was facing off against the Demon Brothers, the both of them clashing against him furiously. Sasuke saw that they kicked up a notch, as he was losing badly, but his mind and his heart was determined not to lose, as all of a sudden he started to see them moving slowly, as Demon Brothers commented that his eyes were bleeding, but it was not that. As Sasuke looked into the puddle, he had his Sharingan activated. With his Sharingan activated, he was able to see their movements as he was able to slice down Gozu. Miyaisu got pissed and came at Sasuke with full force, but Sasuke drive a kunai right into his throat, but Miyaisu was going off with momentum as he smashed into Sasuke, as Sasuke's head hit the pavement and knocked him out. Meanwhile, Kakashi had to jump in the way as Sakura nearly gets sliced down along with Tazuna by Zabuza as he got cut across his vest. As Zabuza then jumped back, Kakashi created dogs as his blood was now on Zabuza's sword. They found Zabuza and sank their teeth into him, trapping him. As Kakashi held out his hand, lightning started cackling off it. He was about to end Zabuza's life. Meanwhile that was going on, Naruto finally defeated Haku, as Haku could tell that Naruto was holding him back the entire time. But she was surprised that he was this strong actually, as Haku said that she didn't have a purpose anymore. Naruto begged her to think that over, because he would be there for her. He could be there for her as well. She could come back to Konoha with him. But Haku could sense that Zabuza was in trouble and rushed off, with Naruto screaming out her name. Haku jumped in the way and took the full force of a lightning blade right through her chest. Naruto came there as he started to cry as he went into a fit of rage. Zabuza came on the bridge, realizing that Haku was a girl, making fun of her right in front of Naruto. It was then that Naruto exploded with the Kyuubi's chakra as he lashed out, tearing through bandits after bandits as they were like paper to his claws, as he ripped right through Gato, ending the man's life, as he then collapsed over. But he was still conscious as he pulled himself towards Haku and picked up her body. Inirie gathered everyone as they all parted as Naruto walked past them. Some time passes Naruto buried Haku where they first met. He then remembered when he told Haku about what he had inside of him, as Haku told him that he's no monster, he's the container. And she also kissed him that night, but now he lost her. For the rest of the time, Naruto went into a fit of training because he couldn't stop. When he stopped, he'd think about her and it just hurt him ever more. And he didn't want to feel that pain anymore, so he just trained and started to focus even harder. As Zabuza told him to find some precious people and look out for them and do everything in his power to protect them, because he was too late to protect Haku, and that was his fault. As with that, Zabuza left. The rest of the time building up the bridge, it was done rather fast, as it was time for them to go back to Konoha, as everyone decided to name the bridge the Great Naruto Bridge, seeing that Naruto was the one that ended Gato's life. So yeah guys, that was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So, what is to begin this new episode? It was late in the afternoon as Team 7 finally arrived at Konoha. The trip was quiet and awkward for the Genins. Naruto was completely silent, he hadn't even muttered a single word since he left the hidden wave. Sasuke was turning his Sharingan on and off as he was trying to goad Naruto into a battle. He was angry that he got knocked out while Naruto was able to rip apart Gato and his man. So right now he wanted nothing more than to fight Naruto and prove that he can beat the blonde. Sakura was also quiet as she glanced at Naruto a few times with a worried look on her face as she remembered him crying. As she saw how he acted, she saw how he reacted, as it made her feel rather sad. Kakashi was reading his book because he didn't really know how to engage them in this kind of situation. It was hard, as Naruto refused to talk to him or anyone. Sakura only talked to Sasuke even though she was worried about Naruto a bit, and Sakura didn't do anything much for her to have a mental breakdown on his mission or anything like that. And Sasuke didn't seem to care that he had killed 2 Chunins. He was only focusing on his Sharingan or Naruto. "Ah, Kakashi-san," said Kitetsu, as him and Izumo were there, the eternal gate guards. "I've seen you return. I trust the mission went well." Kakashi grimaced on the inside. Well, this mission wasn't well at all, but he kept up a good face. Well as can be expected from my team, first time out of the village, he said. Izumo nodded. "Yeah, I remember my first time out of the village. Not quite the experience I expected as a genin either. That's because you accidentally sat on poison ivy," said Kitetsu. "Shut the hell up, man," said Izumo, glaring at him. "You didn't have to bring that up, you know." "Yeah," said Kitetsu with a smile. "You sat in poison ivy, and then you had to have a specialized ointment for your ass." Kakashi ignored them as he turned to look at his team. "I'm going to report to the Hokage. Since this mission was a bit more than we had anticipated, you 3 can head home and rest while I give the report." Sasuke placed his hands in his pockets as he left as soon as he said that. Sakura looked over at Naruto before walking off, trying to follow Sasuke to get a date. "Sensei," Naruto said, "can I go with you? I need to talk to the old man." Kakashi realized that Naruto still doesn't quite trust him. Well, he figured that Naruto won't talk to the old man, given how close the two was. Seeing that Kakashi tried to talk to him while they were at Hidden Wave, but Naruto shut him down every time. "Sure thing, Naruto," he said. "Let's go." And with that they walked off. Moments later in the office, Sarutobi giggled as he was sitting on his couch. Over at his desk were 2 Shadow clones doing his work. He really did have to thank Naruto for telling him this. He was knocked out of his thoughts when they were knocking on his door. "Hokage-sama, Team 7 leader Kakashi Hatake and Naruto Uzumaki is here to see you." Sarutobi sighed as he heard his receptionist, the way she said Naruto's name with a hint of disgust. He would have to have a talk with her. And if she can't change her opinions about him, I guess I'll just have to fire her. He stood up as his clones dispelled as he sat in his chair. "Send him in," he said. As the both of them walked in, "Ah, Kakashi, Naruto-kun," he said. He then narrowed his eyes as he noticed something about Naruto. He seemed off a bit. He then looked around. "It is good to see the both of you, but I must ask, where is Sasuke and Sakura?" he said. "The mission was a bit more than we anticipated, Hokage-sama. I sent them home to get some rest. And Naruto here came because he wanted to talk to you." As Kakashi gave him a look, Sarutobi raised his hand as the envoys in the room left, as he activated the silencing seal. There was a soft glow that filled the entire room for a second, before going back to normal. "I take it there was a lot more to this mission than a protection detail and escort." "Yes," said Kakashi, as he started to explain everything that happened from they left the village. When he got to the part where Naruto used the Kyuubi's chakra, Sarutobi stiffened on hearing that as Naruto flinched a bit. "And afterwards we left and headed straight here," said Kakashi. "I see," said Sarutobi, as he was puffing on his pipe. "To think that such a thing can happen on a mission that was supposed to be a simple C rank. This is what we get when we have a bad case of missing information, both from our client and our network outside of the village. Still, to hear that a squad of Genins were able to complete an A rank mission is astonishing, even if Kakashi was with them." As Sarutobi looked at Naruto, who was releasing so many emotions, you can just see it in his eyes. It was hard to tell how he was feeling. "Thank you, Kakashi. You may go now," he said, knowing that Naruto would want to talk to him alone. As Kakashi nodded and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder before leaving. As Sarutobi then went over to the couch when Kakashi left. As he motioned for Naruto to come over, as Naruto sat down. "You already know I use a fox chakra," Naruto said. As he stopped. "Why don't you start from the beginning? said Sarutobi. As Naruto nodded, it started when I met a girl in the woods. Her name was Haku. As Sarutobi listened to Naruto's story, he could see, by the boy's face and hearing his tone, this was a painful experience for him, even worse than learning about the fox. He found himself surprised again, as he realized that the both of them basically fall in love, two enemy ninjas. However, when Naruto reached a part about how she died, he knew how hurt Naruto was, as he heard the raw emotions, especially when Gato had disrespected Haku. And then I heard a voice, Naruto said. It told me to kill, to murder every single one of them. It was like anger. Anger I never felt before. It was anything that I could even imagine. It was then that my body erupted in its red chakra. All I saw was red, pure anger in my vision. And I killed them all, said Naruto. When I reached up to Gato, I literally squeezed his head in my hand until it exploded. Sarutobi got a mental image of that. For someone like him, he has seen many gruesome things in his times. Well, things that were worse than that. But he knew that it was difficult for Naruto to accept this. He was still a young child after all, no matter the cause. But that was not the worst of it, Naruto said, as he looked at his hands that were shaking. The thing is, I loved every moment of it, Naruto said. Sarutobi looked at Naruto as he saw a tear forming in Naruto's eyes. It was horrible. It was like another person taking over my body. My body, it seemed to love what it was doing, and I couldn't stop it. The feel of blood on my hands, the feeling as I squished Gato's head, I felt like I became a monster. As Sarutobi realized what happened, Naruto got so angry the fox was able to make a connection to him and influence the boy. But to think that the Kyuubi could actually talk to him through the seal was disturbing. He was going to have to call Jiraiya here. Looking down, Sarutobi felt his heart breaking, but not now. I need to help Naruto. Naruto-kun, he said, look at me. As Naruto looked up at the old man, he placed a hand on Naruto's shoulders. I want you to listen to me. You are no monster or no demon. You are a hero. Do you know why the fort chose you to bear this responsibility? Naruto shook his head as Sarutobi gave him a smile. He chose you because he knew that you would be able to control the fox chakra and use that power to protect everything that you cherish. It was a small stretch of the imagination, saying that Minato didn't have much choice in the matter. And Sarutobi did not really know what happened when he found Naruto crying beside the corpse of his mother and his dying father, but he knew that Naruto was the only choice. But Sarutobi knew that Minato did it for a reason. He could have just sealed it back inside of Kushina, the previous Jinchuriki, but something. He felt like Minato had a plan. There was a reason, there must be. Really? Naruto said, snapping Sarutobi from his thoughts, as he wiped his eyes. But how can I control such a monster? The Kyuubi is said to be the strongest out of all of the Bichus, and that bloodlust. As Naruto shivered a bit, he remembered the feeling that he got when he used the fox chakra. Truthfully, I don't know how the fort planned on having you control the Kyuubi, Sarutobi said with a frown. Perhaps he thought that you would make some kind of deal with it, or perhaps he thought that you would be able to subdue it. But I do know that he felt like you would be able to use it to protect the people that you love with his chakra. Naruto narrowed his eyes every time the third Hokage talked about the fourth Hokage with him. He felt like he was missing something. There was some hidden meaning behind something, but he just couldn't put his finger on it. Do you really think I can do it, Naruto asks. I know you can do it, Naruto. And if anyone could, you would be the person. A smile came on Naruto's face, a genuine smile, as he hugged his grandfather figure. Thank you, Jiji, he said. Sarutobi chuckled as he hugged the boy back. You're most welcome, Naruto-kun. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to ask. As Naruto gave him a warm smile. For now, I will have faith in Naruto's will. I believe he is strong enough to resist the fox. But I still need Jiraiya to look on the seal. Thought Sarutobi. Time skip. He sighed as he finally reached the apartment. Arriving there, he heard something. As his eyes went wide, channeling chakra through the seals, he unlocked the door and stepped inside. What the hell are you two doing? He asked. Lying on the couch was Kian, in nothing but a pair of boxers, and Akira, wearing only a pink thong. Kian had one hand on her left breast, and his mouth was attached to her neck. Said Kian as he stuttered to talk. Naruto stomped into the room angrily. I asked you a question, he said. What the hell are you two doing? Well, you see, it just sort of happened, said Akira. We got the memories from you and Haku, from the other clones, and we got curious. What the hell, Naruto thought. I know clones are capable of independent thought, and these two can be considered people in their own right. But something like this? As Naruto mentally screamed in his head, how long have this been going on? You know what? Never mind, I'll find them for myself. He raised his hand as the both of them poofed away. As he dispelled them, Naruto's eyes fluttered as he got all the information. To see the two progressing in their jobs, how much money they made, Akira going on a shopping spree, buying female clothes, Kian's hobby of collecting unusual manga, and finally, the both of them getting hot and heavy. As Naruto saw it from both angles, it was overwhelming for him as he collapsed and passed out. The next day, Naruto slowly opened his eyes as something hit him right in the head. Looking over, he saw that it was a door. He was at the entrance of his apartment. He was on the ground. As he remembered what happened, he realized that it was morning. That means he had slept through the entire night. His special clones are going to need some reprogramming to make sure this never happened again. Standing up, the information was still in his mind as he felt like he wanted to vomit. Luckily, they did not have sex. If they had, most likely would have died of shock, embarrassment, and disgust. But the thing that they started to get into each other was repulsive, to say at least. And it was worse for him, seeing that he got the information. He saw what was happening on both sides. He would have to completely strip their memory of that so they would not remember anything about that, and fix them. Time skip, Naruto's team has gotten a week off after everything, as he went to find Team 10 to get some help on his elemental training. When he arrived, they were doing anything but training, as Shikamaru and Asuma were sitting under a large tree, as there was a board between them. The two would move pieces back and front. Occasionally Shikamaru will move, making Asuma get a frustrated look on his face, as he glared at Shikamaru a bit, as he then sighed and went back to moving, and then he got frustrated over again. Choji was eating a bag of chips. He was sitting down next to Shikamaru watching the match going on, and Ino was complaining loudly, as Naruto walked off towards them. "Come on, why do you guys have to be so lazy?" asked Ino. How could she ever hope to impress Sasuke if she does nothing to get stronger, and prove to him that she was worthy enough? Aren't we supposed to be training after missions? Ino, we are training, said Asuma, as he took a puff of his cigarette. Shogi, require a tactical mind, and it's a good way to come up with strategies that the team might employ. And yet only you and Shikamaru ever play the game, she said, the angry huff. Asuma frowned as he was about to say something when he heard Asuma Sensei, as the group turned and saw Naruto walking over to them. Ah, just the person I was looking for. The three of them looked at him confused. Well, Ino just looked disgruntled. Naruto, what are you doing here, she asked, placing her fist on her hips as she looked at him. In case you haven't noticed, this isn't your training ground. You can't just walk around wherever you want. Naruto didn't even pay her any mind. I was actually coming here to ask you for some advice, Asuma Sensei. Ino frowned deepened as she was being ignored. Asuma looked at him. Shouldn't you be asking Kakashi for these things? He is your Jonin Sensei after all. I have, Naruto said, but he doesn't have any knowledge on what I need to know. And the Hokage suggests that I ask you. Asuma was surprised. What was Naruto needed to know that Kakashi didn't know about? What is it that you need then, he asked. Naruto pulled out a chakra affinity paper. As Naruto applied his chakra, the paper was ripped violently into shreds, as Asuma's eyes went wide. You have a wind affinity, he said. And so strong. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I've been working on a leaf cutting exercise, but I've only been able to get it halfway. You're the only wind expert in Konoha, so I was hoping that you can give me some advice. Asuma nodded as he reached into his pouch and pulled a trench knife, as he channeled his chakra into it as it started to glow with chakra. When I channel my wind chakra, I often think of it as two sharp edges rubbing against each other in order to create a razor blade. Asuma then pulled back as he thrust it. It teared through a tree and teared through the rock behind it and buried itself in the ground. The trick is to make the two edges as close as possible so the wind blade can cut through the leaf. Naruto walked over and got the trench knife as he picked it up and studied as he started to walk back. This is excellent quality, Naruto said. Having spent enough time with Tenten, Naruto knows a lot about weapons and material and all that. I'm guessing the metal that is used is chakra conductive, he asked. It is, Asuma said, as he was surprised. This kid is quite knowledgeable about weapons. As Ino was also curious, looking at Naruto and her sensei, Choji was eating his chips as Shikamaru was narrowing his eyes at Naruto, as if he was trying to solve a puzzle. My dad told me that elemental manipulation is a Jonin level, so why isn't Naruto already working on it, Shikamaru thought. But his mind was coming up with no answer. Hey, is it a shogi board Naruto asks? Yeah, you play, Asuma asks. Well, I just played my clones, and trying to beat yourself is rather weird, he said. Well, if you're interested in that game, I haven't beaten Shikamaru yet and it's getting rather frustrated. As Naruto raised the eyebrow and looked over Shikamaru. As he shrugged, I don't see why not. As Naruto sat down as they rearranged the players, Shikamaru gave Naruto the first move and then make another move. As then Naruto move again, making Shikamaru turn his eyes a bit at Naruto. As the both of them start to play. 13 moves into the game, Shikamaru was sweating because he couldn't understand. He was able to go around Asuma pretty easily, but how the hell was Naruto keeping up with him and actually beating him? As he went into his thinking pose about 5 times already. It was only 15 minutes later, Shikamaru leaned over the board in shock. He lost, Choji said, but Shikamaru never lost. Asuma was also shocked as he looked at Naruto. How the hell did they call this kid the dead last of the class? If he was able to beat Shikamaru at Shogi, Ino, who didn't really care, was... well, she looked over at them. I don't get it. He beat Shikamaru. So what, she said. Ino, Shogi is a game that requires an intelligent amount of thinking, using traps and maneuvers to get the king into checkmate. I know that, I just don't see what the big deal is. It was probably just luck. I don't think so, said Shikamaru as he replayed the match in his mind. I've never seen such move before. He managed to beat me and only lost 3 pieces himself. That thing is not luck. You're pretty good, he said. Maybe we can play some other time. Yeah, maybe. Hey, thanks for the help, Asuma-sensei, Naruto said. No problem, it will be interesting to see what another win user can do, said Asuma. Well, thanks, Naruto said. See you guys later. And with that, he poofed away. As their eyes widened, a clone? I heard that he could use it, but I didn't realize he knew the secret of the clone. Definitely an interesting kid, thought Asuma. Hey, what was that, asked Ino. How did he just disappear like that, she said. As everyone looked at her except for Choji, who was eating his chips. Meanwhile, on Training Ground 43, they received the information as Naruto kept on doing his push-ups as he reached 300 and collapsed over. He got back up and started doing them again. He was still focusing hard in his training until he received information from his clones. As they cut it in half, as the other clones started to jump around in happiness. Alright, Naruto said, you know the drill. Dispel in groups of 10. As Naruto walked over to one of the trees, as he sat down, as he closed his eyes to meditate, he can sort through the information better that way. Once all of that was over, he picked up a leaf, as he channeled his chakra as he imagined 2 edges grinding against each other. As the leaf then split in half. As Naruto stood up and went back to his physical training, with a satisfied smile on his face. Time skip. Thanks, Naruto said, as he got the bowl of ramen from Amy. As he started to eat, she smiled and went back to make some other bowls, knowing that Naruto wanted at least 6 more bowls before getting full. He was so caught up in his eating, he did not notice the presence behind him. You know, you should have told me that you were back. A pair of arms wrapped around him, as Naruto stiffened a bit, as an image flashed through his mind when he was in the clearing and Haku wrapped her arms around him. As Naruto turned slightly, Anko narrowed her eyes at Naruto's reaction. He stiffened a bit, but he wasn't blushing. His eyes looked like they were barely holding together. You alright, kid? She asked. Yeah, he said, as he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. As he opened them back. So I'm guessing there's a reason why you came to find little old me, he said. Anko frowned as she watched him for a moment. Something was surely up. Well, Kakashi was bragging about you in the lounge to the other Jonins. I had to see what he was so fussy about. He's bragging about me, Naruto said, as he was surprised by that. Well, Team 7, but mostly you. He said that you improved quite a bit, and you worked well on your first mission outside the village. Yet again, Anko noticed that look on his face. Are you okay? She asked. Yeah, I'm fine, he said. Why wouldn't I be? Anko frowned deepened. Because you're not acting like yourself. Did something happen on the mission? He turned his head. I really don't want to talk about my recent mission, he said. Why? She said, confused. I want to know what happened. Kakashi won't tell us anything about the specifics. So, the chopstick in his hand snapped to pieces. I said, I don't want to talk about it, he said, looking at her with a glare. as Uncle saw many more emotion in his eyes. Shaking his head, he looked at her. "Sorry," he said. "Just please drop it," he said to her. "Well, I suppose I can," she said, as she looked over at him with a smirk. "That's because you're my favorite kid," she said. He simply smiled. "Thanks, Uncle." Finished up his ramen, he paid for his meal. "I'll see you later, Uncle," he said, tossing a shoulder wave. Amy came back as she was confused and surprised. He only had one bowl, as Uncle watched her to leave. Time skip 1 month later. "I'm so sorry," said Haku. "Know that, even if I can't go with you, I'll always love you," she said, as she rushed off in a burst of speed. Haku noticed as he shot out of bed. As his entire body was covered in sweat, he was breathing heavily. It was that dream again. The same one he has been having. "How many times have I had this nightmare?" 31. "I have this nightmare every time since her death." As he turned his head and looked towards the clock. 5:30. Doubt that he would go back to sleep now, he decided to go to the bathroom. As he took off his boxers and stepped inside the shower, as soon as his seal sensed the water, it started to glow, producing hot water all over him, as he stood like that for at least 30 minutes, before actually taking a bath. After finishing that, he looked through the window. The sun was just rising up over the village. Hours later, it was late in the afternoon, as Naruto brought his staff down and smashed it right through one of the spider's head as he was in the forest of death. Spinning around, he drove his staff into another spider, breaking right through it. He placed his staff right beside him as he went through Hansign. "Divine Wind Jutsu," he said. A huge gale force of cutting winds shot out from his body, destroying everything in his perimeter. Naruto panted a bit as he looked around, noticing that the area was spider-free. "You know, that's a pretty nasty jutsu." As Naruto turned to see Anko, her arms crossed under her breasts, with a serious expression on her face as she was standing on a tree branch. "Anko," he said, "something I can help you with." Anko jumped down off the branch. "You can start by telling me why you're avoiding me," she said. "I don't know what you're talking about. I have cut the crap, kid," she said, cutting him off. "I tried finding you in your usual training field, and all of your clones told me you're not there. I tried searching for you in the Forest of Death before, but you didn't show yourself. Hell, I even went up to Training Ground 9 to see the spandex, wonders, and that little weapon chick you seem to be fond of. You weren't there either," Uncle said. He stepped forward with a threatening gaze. "I haven't been able to find you for the entire month, so why don't you tell me why you're avoiding me? And don't lie, because the next thing you will feel is my snakes biting your ass." "I can't," he said, shaking his head, as he did not want to break down again. "You know, you're just so damn frustrating," she said, as Naruto turned to walk away. "You know, I talked to the third Hokage." Naruto stopped at that. "I heard what happened in your last mission. I would be hurt too if something like that happened to me. But this is the world we live in. You're a shinobi, and if you can't handle it, you need to quit being a shinobi," she said. Naruto turned towards her. "You went behind my back to get this info on me." "Because I was worried about you," she said. "Because you haven't been talking to me or anyone else for the entire month. You've been avoiding everyone like a plague. Even that scarecrow Kakashi was getting worried, and that's saying something." Naruto winced at that, but he then frowned. "I don't have to answer to you, you're not my..." He stopped. He couldn't say mother. He didn't even know who his own mother was. "You're not my boss, so I don't have to answer you." He turned to leave, but several snakes wrapped around him. "Hey, what the hell? Let me go, you crazy bitch," he said. The snakes started tightening around him. They turned him back around, as Anko was now pissed off. "You better well believe that you're answering to me." As she pulled him close with a pissed off look on her face, her teeth were grinding. "We may not have been friends for long, but we're friends. And if you don't tell me what is going on so I can fix it, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you," she said. Naruto tried to laugh, but it came out like a chuckle, so between a sob and a pained groan. I... Anko sighed as she placed him back down on the ground. "I already told you I know what happened, kid. You have to move on. I get it, you fell in love with this chick. I understand that, but seriously, you need to let it go and move on." "I don't want to let it go," Naruto said. Tears now streaming down his face. "Haku-chan's the only person that ever showed me any love. She gave me happiness, more than I ever thought I would get. She didn't even care about the damn fox in my gut." "So you're saying I don't care about you?" Anko asked. "That's completely different, and you know it," Naruto said. "You're right, it's different. But that doesn't mean I don't care. I have accepted you, Nine-Tail Fuzzy and all that. But that's... Naruto looked down and looked at his feet. I just don't want to lose everyone precious to me again. So you're gonna push us away? I thought you were smart, she said. Think about what you're doing, kid. That's not... As he stopped again. And if you don't want to lose others who are important to you, that means you just have to get stronger, Uncle said. The question you really need to ask yourself, what will Haku want you to do? I think you're so afraid of someone trying to replace his memory of this Haku girl, you're distancing yourself away from everyone else so you don't get over her and her memory. As Naruto winks, realized that she was right. She hit the nail right on his head. While Tenten had been there for him, and Anko had been there for him, none of them gave him what Haku did, and he felt like he would be betraying her memory if he did anything else. Do you think Haku girl would want you to be like this? From what you told the third, she would probably stick you with Senbon or something. Despite everything, Naruto let out a small laugh. Yeah, I suppose she would, he said. Now, are you going to be all Uchiha on me, she asks. I wasn't that bad, Naruto said, defending himself. As Anko gave him a deadpan look. Alright, maybe I was a little Uchiha there. Kid, I thought I saw a group of fangirls following you here because they took you for the brooding Uchiha, Anko said. Naruto stepped forward as he wrapped his arms around her. As Anko looked down at him. Thanks, big sis, he said. Since when am I your sister? Since now, Naruto said. As Anko couldn't help but smile. Despite being alone for most of her life, she was happy to hear someone call her that. As he was saying that they were close enough to be family, the only other person that called her that was Kurenai. As she patted him on the back. It's alright, kid, she said, as she started to relax. Until Naruto ruined it. Who knew that the snake bitch of Konoha was such a softie, he said. Anko placed her arms around him as she squeezed him. If you tell anyone about this, I'll feed you to my snake, she said. You know, Naruto said, despite her squeezing him, I bet people will change their opinions of you if they know that you were so soft and squishy on the inside. As he started to break her whole, as he slipped under her arms. Kid, I'm warning you, Uncle threatened. In fact, maybe I should tell Kakashi just how soft you really are. You better start running, she said. He bit her finger and went through hand sign. Summoning Jutsu. As Naruto looked up to see Anko and a large snake. Sick him, Shasha. Eat the bastard alive. As Naruto jumped off the tree branch and kept on running, as the snake chased after him with Anko laughing. The next day, it was Saturday, as Naruto made his way towards the Higurashi store, but Tenten was not there. He missed her. As her father Kaido was sitting at the register, he looked up. Naruto, he said, how have you been? I've been good, Kaido, Naruto said, with a small bow. You know, I haven't seen you here for quite a while. My daughter has been worried about you for the past month. Sorry, I was having some personal issues that kept me from others. Kaido looked at him. I suggest you speak to her sometime soon. Right, Naruto said. As if on cue, Tenten walked in. Dad, I'm back from... You, she said. Naruto stepped back as she stepped forward. She started to poke him on the chest. I haven't seen you for over a month, and you're just coming in here now when I'm not working? I had to find out that you returned from some lady named Anko because she was looking for you? Do you know how worried I was when I found out that you were actually ignoring me? Tenten, Naruto said, but she cut him off. Don't you try to talk your way out of this, Naruto Uzumaki. You have a lot of making up to do for making me get so worried. Well, she said. What do you want me to do to make up to you, he said, as Tenten got a smile on her face. God save me, Naruto said, as he knew that smile. That was the one time that he made her use range weapon in their spar. As she grabbed him, pulling him towards the training field. As Kaido chuckled to himself. Skip. 2 months later. Naruto was splitting up his clones. Alright, since we haven't found a waterfall and a good base to work on, I want you to start cutting a rock. With your wing chakra, try to cut it into 4 pieces, he said. He got the information that after cutting a leaf, he should cut a waterfall in half. But there was no waterfall that he could properly cut in half. So he had used other means. He could now make complex shapes in the leaf that he cut. Animals, even people heads. Now, I want one more group of you to split up into 25. One of you will work on the advanced form of Mudatai. Another will work on Gogen. And the other one will work on our Bujutsu. And the last one will combine our Taijutsu style into a usable form. Yes, boss, they said as he went off. As Naruto turned towards the last group. You guys have the most important of all. continue to work on our chakra control. We've gotten up to 5 leaves on one hand, so start to add the leaf to the other. I want 2 by the end of this session. And instead of just stand on the water surface, I want you to walk on it while doing it. You got it, boss, they said as he went off. Naruto looked at his arm, the seals. Right now it was up to level 3. He no longer needed chakra to move his body, so that means it was time to increase it. As Naruto struggled, increasing the level, as the kanji switched from 3 to 4. The moment that happened, Naruto collapsed on the ground, as he wasn't pumping in chakra to his body, so it was difficult to stand. But he sent chakra flushing through all of his system as he got back up to his feet. It was time to work even harder. Time skip, Naruto walked on the bridge. Morning, Sakura. Sasuke team, he said. He greeted them even if they didn't get along all that well. Sasuke turned. He said. Naruto baka, don't call Sasuke that, Sakura shouted. Thankfully she no longer tried to punch him because he wouldn't put up with that any longer. Something that made her get more angry at him, that she couldn't punch him. Naruto said nothing to her. He thought that things would have changed after their mission. But when they got back to Konoha, he just returned like always. Sasuke was more even arrogant than before, now that he had his Sharingan, thinking that he was beyond everyone else. Sakura didn't really change at all, seeing that she never did anything important. She was not even conscious when he was going in a rampage of the fox. As Naruto sat down and pulled out 2 books, the first was level 3 of Sealing. It was written by the 4th Hokage. The second one is one of his creation. It held all the notes that he had written down, and the few notes that he had written about seals and other books. After the next half an hour, Kakashi finally arrived in a poof. Yo, he said. You're late, Sakura yelled. Sorry, I forgot to set my alarm today, so I woke up late, he said. Liar, said Sakura. So what are we doing today, sensei? Asked Naruto. Kakashi gave Naruto a smile. I'm glad you asked, Naruto. We have an exciting mission today, so let's get going. Time skip, really? They just finished their mission. It was just walking Inosaka dogs. Ever since that Sea-Rat mission went to hell, Kakashi refused to take another one yet. So everything was just in the village, and they were boring. I can't believe we got stuck doing these lame-ass missions again, Naruto said. He had went back to his previous self since his talk with Anko. Well, there was time that he received flicker of emotions or memories that hurt him a lot same, but he was no longer brooding that much. But he was going to push forward because he was sure that Haku would probably stick him up with Senmon if she realized that he was moping like the Uchiha. Now Naruto, we can't do a Sea-Rat mission every time, said Kakashi. There are protocols we need to follow. I know the protocols, damn it. I read all the books and why Genins are usually given these damn D-rank missions. As he glared at Kakashi, who simply ignored him and giggled, reading his book. Shut up, Naruto baka, said Sakura. You're talking too loudly. This coming from the girl who screams every time she talks, said Naruto. I bet even the teen over there wants a better mission, huh? That was all Sasuke said. You see, he's dying for some actions. Said Sasuke. You know, you're really good at conversation, said Naruto. Said Sasuke. Sakura turned towards Sasuke. I'm so glad today's mission is over. Aren't you, Sasuke-kun, she asks. Say, like how the mission is over, would you like to go on a date with me? Sasuke was now getting annoyed as he turned to look at her with a serious expression that made her flinch a bit. Why would I want to go on a date with a weak girl like you, he said, making her step back. If you have time to ask me out on a date, then you have time to train and get stronger. Even Naruto over there has gotten better than you. You're more useless than before, he said. But She tried to say something but Sasuke already walked away. As Naruto looked up, before going back down to his book, she really needed a kick in the ass to realize what it is to be a true ninja. Kakashi looked up as well, but you couldn't see it on his face. He was worried about his team. Their teamwork has even gotten worse than before. It almost like the mission to the wave never happened. Sakura yelled at Naruto, tried to get a date with Sasuke, completely neglecting training outside of mission. Sasuke ignored everyone, yet to glare at Naruto or pick a fight. I thought awakening the Sharingan would be a good thing, but then he just got more arrogant. And Naruto. He glanced at Naruto. I can't even tell him what he's thinking anymore. He's got more sarcastic. And start to run his mouth every time he gets. Not only that, he's gotten a sadistic streak. Though I'm sure Anko is responsible for that. He sighed, not sure how to fix his problem. Okay, he said, I think that is enough for today. I have to go submit a mission report. See ya. and with that he poofed away. Seeing that his two teammates are to the left, Naruto started to walk away. Guess I'll go do some training of my own. Until he saw a square box following him. He started to walk off until the box started to follow him even more. As he was walking, he suddenly vanished. Konohamaru, where did the boss go? A female voice said. I don't know. He just disappeared. It was then they felt a weight sit down on the box, as it was Naruto. Hey, who's on top of us? Hey, get off! You know, Naruto said a chuckle. If you keep on using these disguises, you will never get the one up on me. I'm not surprised you saw through our disguise, boss, said Konohamaru. Now, can you get off? Naruto stood up and moved to the front, as the box exploded, as there was many coughs coming out of it. I think we used too much gunpowder. So, Naruto said, what do you guys want? The three kids looked at him before breaking out in their introduction. Hey, I'm Mogi, and I'm the sassiest kunoichi in school, said Mogi as she raised an odd pose, stand on one leg, raising a hand in the air. And I like algebra, I'm Udon, he said, as Naruto looked at the boy with his running nose, as he crouched down beside Mogi and crossed his arms. And I'm the strongest ninja in the village, Konohamaru, as he pointed at himself. And together we are the Konohamaru Corps, the three of them said at the same time. Yeah, you guys did this like third time for this month, Naruto said. So what do you want, he asks. You promised that you would play ninja with us today, boss, said Konohamaru, as he crossed his arms at Naruto. Did I? I never remember saying anything like that. You did. Please, come on, play ninja with us. The three of them start giving puppy dog eyes. You know, I've been giving that look to the old man before you three were even born. It won't work on me. As all of them sweat drop as they lower their head. Naruto smiled as he looked at them. He actually liked these kids. They had always brighten up his day. But I suppose I can play ninja with you. A ninja playing ninja. That's so stupid. As they saw depressed Sakura walking towards them. Naruto sighed at her attitude. Even though he was trying to ignore her, she was always trying her best to belittle him or try to make fun of whatever he did. She seemed to come over to make fun of him whenever Sasuke put her down, which was pretty often. Hey boss, who is this, Konohamaru asked. Oh, I know. Is she your... Konohamaru held up his little finger and wiggled it. Hell no, Naruto said. In fact, we're not even friends. The closest thing I can call her is my teammate, and I use that term rather loosely, since we don't even act like a team. For some reason, Naruto's words made her even more sad, as Sasuke thought that she was beneath him, and Naruto was saying that she was someone he worked with, and not someone he liked. He wasn't even seeing her as a friend. I suppose what people say are true. You never know what you miss until it's gone, she said to herself. She could no longer deny that Naruto was the main factor for confidence in the academy. Whenever something happened, either Ino or the other girls or Sasuke rejection, Naruto was always there making her feel better. But now he no longer cared about her, so she don't have that confident boost anymore. This in turn brought her down even more. Well, that's good, boss, because you can seriously do better than this chick. I mean, just look at her. Whoa, her forehead is huge. As Naruto looked at Sakura to see her fuming. Hey, Konohamaru, how fast can you run? Pretty fast. Why, boss? I suggest that you start running. As Sakura clenched her fists and cracked her knuckles, as Konohamaru started to back away from her, until she chased after him as he rushed off. A few seconds later, boss, what are we gonna do? She's gaining on me, said Konohamaru, as Naruto was hopping from fence to fence, as Konohamaru was running for his life, as Oda and Moki was running beside him as well. Well, consider this training, Naruto said. Training? How can this be considered training? Naruto chuckled. We're testing your speed and endurance, of course, he said. Konohamaru increased his speed as he ran past his two friends, turned around the corner not seeing the person, as he smashed into someone hard. As Konohamaru rubbed his face, he looked to see that it was some strange guy wearing a black suit with makeup on his face. Next to him was a girl with blonde hair, with her head bang hanging on her neck, as the symbol on it was from the hidden sand. They were allies with Konoha. Hey, that hurt you, little punk, the boy said as he picked up Konohamaru. I think I need to teach you to watch where you're going from now on. Kankuro, just drop him. You know that we're going to get in trouble if he shows up. Relax, Temari. He won't show up for a while yet, as he turned his attention back to Konohamaru. Besides, this kid needs to know not to disrespect his betters. Put me down, you makeup wearing freak, said Konohamaru. If you don't, I'm gonna make Naruto-Nisan kick your ass, he said. It's war paint, you little shit, said Kankuro as he pulled back his fist. Hey! Kankuro stopped, looking up to see Naruto on the fence. as he jumped down in front of him. I suggest you put him down. As Sakura, Udon and Mogi came behind him, Temari looked Naruto up and down. A local cutie, she said. As Kankuro scowled. Looks like Leaf Genin, thought Kankuro. Maybe I should play with him instead, he thought. Hey, makeup boy, Naruto said. Let him go. Or are you deaf or something? Perhaps I must put my foot in your ass for you to hear me, he said. Hey, it's not makeup, it's war paint, Kankuro yelled. As Temari giggled beside him. So says a transvestite walking around in a cat suit, Naruto said. That does it, said Kankuro as he grit his teeth. As he tossed Konohamaru away as he reached behind him. But Naruto rushed over and caught Konohamaru before he could fall to the ground. As Naruto sent a harsh glare towards Kankuro. Meanwhile, I am sure you're all wondering why I have called you here, said Sarutobi, as the Jonin senses were in the air. You have all assembled for one reason. It should be obvious by now, he said. So it's that time already, Kakashi asked. It's already been reported to other countries. I already saw some of them in the village, Genma said. So, when is it? Asked Kurenai. In a week, said Sarutobi. As several members mumble about it starting sooner than they expected. I'll announce it properly 7 days from now, that the Chunin exam selection will commence. Before we get to anything, I have some information I wish to tell you. It seems like the San and Kumo has both sent a Jinchuriki here to participate in the exams. As many ninja burst into outrage, it wasn't fair for them to send such monsters in the exam. As a burst of killing intent from Sarutobi shut them up. While I can understand how you feel about such powerful ninjas in the exam, I would prefer that you don't speak about them that way. In any event, it is not illegal for a Jinchuriki to participate in the exams, so long as they are registered genin, so there's nothing none of us can do about it. I merely informed you so you are aware what your genin would be up against in the exams. Now, I would like to hear from those who are watching over the new genin first. Kakashi, Kurenai, and Asuma stepped forward. Well, said Sarutobi. I nominate my entire team to take the Chunin exams, said Kakashi. As many other ninjas start to mumble about this. I nominate my team as well, said Kurenai. As Asuma took a puff of his cigarette. I nominate my team as well, he said. The muttering got a little louder, but one person had something to say about this. Hold on there just a second, said Iruka. What is it? Sarutobi asked. I may be speaking out of place, but these 9 genins were all my students in the academy. They're all talented, but it's still too early for them to take the exam. They need more experience, especially with 2 Jinchurikis coming to the exams. I became a Chunin when I was 6 years younger than Naruto, said Kakashi, knowing who Iruka was worrying about. Naruto is not like you, Iruka said. Are you trying to crush these kids? You know what the Chunin exams is really? Are you saying that you don't have faith in Naruto talents? Said Kakashi, cutting Iruka off. That's not... Iruka stuttered. While Naruto is not like me, he's an extremely talented shinobi that has impressed me many times over. Several eyes widened hearing that, as they were saying like Kakashi was lying or something. I understand that you're worried, Iruka, but you have to understand, they're no longer under your control. That's enough, Kakashi said, Kurenai. No, it's not. You have to understand. While they were your students, they're no longer anymore. They're my soldiers, said Kakashi. Kakashi is right, Iruka. It is not your decision to tell whether or not they're able to compete. Meanwhile, you're going to use Karasu here? Asked a surprised Temari. Yeah, these brats need to be taught a lesson, Temari, said Kankuro, as he started to pull the thing from his back. But guys, it'll be ending this episode right here. If you want the next part, if you don't know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn the bell notifications they posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. Well, more for now. See you guys soon. Peace.